this planet really might be more important than we think it is. Now, while I enjoyed this episode, it did reinforce some criticisms I've had of earlier episodes, and I think that it's just that the run times are too short. The episodes just feel way too short. The show really struggles to find a pace and keep to it, and when it does start to find its footing and really pick up, the episode ends and the momentum is gone. Now, I'm not saying that every episode needs to be, 45 minutes to an hour. I'm watching some other shows at the moment that are that length every episode, and sometimes I'm just like, get on with it, because they just pad it too much. They go too far in the other direction. But I do think that this is something that Disney needs to do with all of their shows, because they need to write a TV show. Don't write it out as like a movie and then chop it down into 6 or 8 episodes, because that's what they feel like. They feel like movies spread out across episodes. And it can be just really frustrating because it just feels clunky. Now, watching all of them in one go, the binging model is probably a way to alleviate that, but I just think having a better paced episode that doesn't feel simultaneously rushed and too slow at the same time would be better. My other main criticism of the show so far can be summed up with this clip from Community.
I can explain. Let me explain.
Every time Sol is about to talk about something happens that prevents it from happening, and it's just it's sort of become a running joke. It's very annoying, and I'm not against a slow burn, but I am against feeling like I'm chasing a carrot on a stick that's being dangled. But with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the actual episode. All that said, I did enjoy the episode. I enjoyed its character interactions, especially Osha and Qimir. Now, I really enjoyed how Osha and Qimir were presented in this episode. Qimir was very calm and cool, collected, very much in control, and is presented wearing white. Whereas Osha is emotional, a little bit erratic, angry, and is wearing darker clothing. It's nothing special, but it's a nice, good little visual representation for where they are at the moment. It's a nice little touch, especially as the episode title suggests that Osha is going to slowly start being corrupted by Qimir's teachings. Now, my favorite thing about this episode is the unknown planet that they are on. We've had title cards telling us what planet we are on all season long, and here we just get unknown planet. But why? Why would they do that? Why not just not have a title card at all? And I think it's because the planet name is a spoiler, and it may be revealed later on, maybe in the last episode. Now, this is purely speculation from my point. It could not happen. It could very easily not be the case, but this is just my speculation and theory for now. But I think that the planet that they are on is bal'demnic. Now, if you don't know what that is, I suggest reading the now Legends book Plagueis. It's fantastic, no longer canon, but it is still a fantastic read. Now, bal'demnic was a planet in the Outer Rim that was mostly covered in ocean, had some rocky islands scattered about it, and it was also home to deposits of cortosis, the material that Qimir's helmet and armor are made from, and we see that cortosis vein towards the end of this episode. Now, in the Plagueis novel, spoilers, Tenebris and Plagueis go to bal'demnic to mine the cortosis, and a mining accident results in an explosion, and this is where Plagueis finally decides to kill his master, Tenebris. So it'll be interesting to see if this planet is in fact bal'demnic, or is this rather just a nod to the novel, and whether or not Tenebris or even Tenebris's master could show up. Again, pure speculation on my part. I don't know if this is bal'demnic, but I just noticed enough similarities to be like, I'm going to talk about that, because that could be really cool if that is the case. We also have confirmation as well that Qimir was a former Jedi, and he has been around for a long time, which raises more questions about this character, which I'm very excited to learn more about. Is he way older than we think he is? Is there some shady shit going on? Dark Force energy keeping him young or something? Who knows? All that said, I'm still not even sure we can trust what this guy says. He also has a very peculiar scar on his back, which he leads Osha and us to believe was given to him by his former master. And it does certainly look like lashes from a whip, which is interesting because we finally get to see Vernestra Rose light whip in this episode for the first time in live action. Very happy to see that. Now, I have no idea if those two things are connected. It could just be a red herring, but it was interesting to have that kind of a scar and the light whip appear in the same episode. Speaking of Vernestra, I liked the little nod we got into the High Republic books, where Mog says that Vern gets nauseous during hyperspace, and she's like, no, I just find it unsettling. Now, the reason that is because it's in reference to the books where in hyperspace, Vernestra often has visions or dreams while traveling in hyperspace, and they leave her feeling a bit sick and drained afterwards. Now, they haven't been fully explained yet in the books, but she did get the idea for her light whip in a dream. And sometimes during these hyperspace travels, she has had premonitions of things that haven't come true, but they might come true. And she's also actually talked to people like Marie Santeca in these visions. So that, I believe, that just line there was a little nod to that, which as a High Republic book reader, I really enjoyed and was like, oh, cool, yay. Another fun fact, Vern's ship is named the Kentaros, which is named after Imri Kentaros, who was one of her Padawans in the High Republic books. So all of that stuff I really, really enjoyed. Now, sadly, the May and Soul stuff didn't really do a lot for me this episode, because it did just feel like a lot of tiptoeing around what happened on Brendok and set up for next week, which is probably finally going to be the flashback to the other point of view of what really happened on Brendok that night. Now, I'm also not sure if Soul was just too clouded and unfocused to realize that it was May and not Osha there, or if he knew the entire time, or if he didn't know until Basil tipped him off. I choose to believe, or like, I watched that episode believing that he knew it was her, and he was maybe just waiting for her to slip up. I'm not entirely sure. But it also could have just been he was too emotional to sense it, and that's when Basil tipped him off at the end. But towards the end, Soul really flicked a switch and became kind of scary. After he stuns May and then leaves Kofar before Vanestra and the other team arrives, and his little speech to May, it felt like a horror movie where, like, you know, the villain, the slasher, has the final victim dead to rights and they give a little monologue. It was a little bit insidious the way he was talking to her, and it looks like next week we'll finally get that other point of view of the Brendok flashback that I've been craving. Very excited to see how it all went down. Kelnaka potentially being controlled by Anasaia and the witches, and finding out, you know, what Torben did, how the Coven was really wiped out. I'm very, very excited for that. So overall, while I liked the episode, I think the runtime, the pacing, and the drawing out of some of these story beats did make this probably my least favorite episode so far. And I was expecting a slower episode this week after last week's, you know, sort of explosive energy that was injected into the series, but it felt like all of that energy just dissipated by the time we got to this one, which was a real shame. But 2 episodes to go. I'm very excited for these last 2 and to get the last puzzle pieces to this overall mystery. Thank you for watching. If you like this and you like The Acolyte, make sure you follow me here and on TikTok. I love talking about Star Wars. Favorite thing to do in the world. And yeah, that's it for me. 2 episodes to go. I'm really looking forward to it. Once again, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you. Always.